Welcome to Ms. Fhuang English. I'm so happy you're here today. If you've ever wanted to speak English more fluently, understand native speakers more easily, and feel confident in real conversations, then you're in the right place. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below sharing one challenge you face when speaking English. I'd love to hear from you and help you improve. Now, let's start with a question. Have you ever felt nervous speaking English because you weren't sure what to say next? Maybe you knew some words, but forming natural sentences felt difficult. If you've ever felt this way, you are not alone. Many learners face the same challenge. Today, we're going to practice real, natural English conversations together, step by step, so you can feel confident speaking in everyday situations. Let's begin by imagining a simple conversation in a coffee shop. You walk in, order a drink, and want to start a little chat with the barista. Here's one way to do it. Hi, how's your day going? Now repeat that after me. Take your time. Hi, how's your day going? Good. Saying this naturally opens a friendly conversation. The barista might respond, I'm good, thanks. How about you? And you could say, I'm great, thank you. It's such a nice day today. Notice how short and simple these sentences are. They're natural and friendly. Let's practice this little exchange together. Repeat after me. I'm good, thanks. How about you? I'm great, thank you. It's such a nice day today. Great. This is your first step towards sounding more fluent in English. It's not about knowing complicated words. It's about using simple phrases naturally and confidently. Now, let's try adding a follow-up question. This is important because asking questions keeps the conversation going. For example, do you have a favorite coffee here? Or, what's your favorite drink? These are short, natural questions that make the conversation more engaging. Repeat these aloud. Do you have a favorite coffee here? What's your favorite drink? By asking simple questions like this, you show interest, and the other person will feel happy to respond. Small questions, small phrases, but they make a big difference in real conversations. Next, we're going to practice responding to opinions politely. Sometimes people will say something you agree with, and sometimes you'll have a different idea. Let's start with agreeing politely. You can say, "That's true. I agree. I couldn't agree more." Repeat after me. That's true. I agree. I couldn't agree more. Now, imagine this conversation. A. I love this coffee. It's really strong and fresh. B. I couldn't agree more. It's my favorite too. Perfect. Notice how polite and natural it sounds. Now, let's look at a polite way to disagree. I see your point, but I think that's interesting, but I feel I understand, but I would say, repeat after me. I see your point, but I think that's interesting, but I feel I understand, but I would say, here's an example. A. I think tea is better than coffee. B. I see your point, but I think coffee wakes me up more in the morning. See how natural that conversation flows? It's polite, friendly, and keeps both people engaged. Now, let's move on to some everyday phrases that are very useful in conversations. These expressions help you sound like a native speaker. By the way, used to add new information. Speaking of that, used to connect ideas. Actually used to correct or clarify something. Absolutely. Used to strongly agree. That's a good point. Not used to acknowledge someone's opinion. Repeat them aloud with me. By the way, speaking of that, actually, absolutely. That's a good point. Let's see how these work in a real conversation. A. I really enjoyed the movie yesterday. B. Speaking of that, did you see the trailer for the next one? A. Oh yes, actually I think it looks amazing. B. Absolutely. I can't wait to watch it. Notice how smooth and natural that conversation feels. Using small connecting phrases like this will help your English sound more fluent and relaxed. Now, it's your turn. I want you to think about a short conversation you might have today, maybe with a friend, a coworker, or even someone online. Start with a greeting, ask a question, respond politely, and try to use one of the expressions we just practiced. For example, "Hi, how are you today? By the way, did you watch the new series last night?" Take a moment to repeat this aloud. Don't worry about making mistakes. Speaking slowly, clearly, and confidently is more important than being perfect. Before we finish part 1, here's a quick review of what we practiced today. Starting a conversation. Hi, how's your day going? Asking follow-up questions. Do you have a favorite coffee here? Agreeing politely. I couldn't agree more. Disagreeing politely. I see your point, but I think using expressions to connect ideas. By the way, speaking of that, actually, keep practicing these phrases aloud every day. Repeat them. Record yourself if you can, and try to use them in real conversations. The more you practice, the more naturally your English will flow. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Write one phrase you learned today and how you plan to use it in a conversation. Sharing your progress will help you remember the expressions better and inspire others too. I'm so glad you're here for part 2 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass. If you haven't already, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing one phrase from part 1 that you've been practicing. It really helps me know what works best for you. In part 1, we started with simple greetings, follow-up questions, and polite ways to agree or disagree. We also practiced expressions like, by the way. And speaking of that, today we're going to build on that foundation by practicing longer conversations and learning how to keep a discussion flowing naturally. Let's start with a scenario you might encounter in daily life. Meeting someone new at a small gathering. Imagine you walk up and say, "Hi, I don't think we've met before. I'm your name." Repeat that after me. Hi, I don't think we've met before. I'm your name. Good. Saying your name clearly helps make a strong first impression. The other person might respond, "Nice to meet you. Your name." I'm their name. how do you know host's name? Now it's your turn to respond naturally. You could say, oh, we work together, or we went to school together. Repeat these aloud. Oh, we work together. We went to school together. See how easy that is? By using short, natural sentences, you're making the conversation friendly and comfortable. Next, let's practice adding more details. Instead of stopping at one sentence, you can extend your answer slightly. For example, oh, we work together. I've been at the company for 3 years, and I really enjoy it. Repeat after me. Oh, we work together. I've been at the company for 3 years, and I really enjoy it. Adding details like this makes your conversation more interesting and shows confidence. Now, let's practice asking questions to keep the conversation flowing. You could ask, what do you do for work? Or how long have you known host's name? Repeat aloud. What do you do for work? How long have you known host's name? Asking questions shows interest and keeps the other person talking. It's a simple way to make your English sound more natural. Next, let's add expressions that make your English sound smooth. You can use, that sounds interesting. Really? Tell me more. No way. That's amazing. Repeat after me. That sounds interesting. Really? Tell me more. No way. That's amazing. Let's see how these expressions work in a conversation. A. I recently started learning how to play the guitar. B. That sounds interesting. How long have you been practicing? A. About 6 months. I play every day after work. B. Really? Tell me more. What songs are you learning? Notice how these small expressions keep the conversation lively and engaging. They're easy to use, and they make you sound like a natural English speaker. Now, let's practice politely expressing your thoughts or feelings in the conversation. You can use, I think that's a great idea. I feel that's really helpful. I believe this will be fun. Repeat after me. I think that's a great idea. I feel that's really helpful. I believe this will be fun. Here's an example in a conversation. A. We should try going to the new restaurant downtown this weekend. B. I think that's a great idea. I've heard the food is amazing. A. Yes, and I believe this will be fun. We can all go together. See how polite agreement and positive expressions make conversations more enjoyable? Using phrases like these will help your English sound natural and friendly. Next, let's practice responding when someone shares their feelings. This is important in real conversations because it shows empathy and understanding. You can say, that must be exciting. I can understand why you feel that way. That sounds challenging. Repeat after me. That must be exciting. I can understand why you feel that way. That sounds challenging. Example conversation. A. I finally finished my big project at work. B. That must be exciting. Congratulations. A. Thanks. It was a lot of work, but I'm glad it's done. B. I can understand why you feel that way. Projects like that take a lot of time and effort. Using phrases like this helps you respond naturally and makes the conversation feel personal and genuine. Now, Let's put it all together. Imagine a short conversation. A. Hi, I don't think we've met before. I'm your name. B. Nice to meet you. I'm their name. How do you know host's name? A. Oh, we went to school together. I've known host's name for 5 years. B. That's great. Really? Tell me more. A. We were in the same class, and we used to work on projects together. B. That sounds interesting. I also studied with host's name a few years ago. A. No way. That's amazing. It's a small world. Practice this conversation aloud several times, focusing on natural rhythm, pauses, and intonation. The more you repeat it, the more comfortable you'll feel in real conversations. Before we finish part 2, here's your challenge. Try creating a short conversation with someone today using at least 3 of the expressions we practiced, like, that sounds interesting. Really? Tell me more, or I can understand why you feel that way. Speak slowly and clearly, and don't worry about mistakes. Remember, every time you practice, your English becomes more natural and fluent. I'm so excited you're here for part 3 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass. By now, you've practiced greetings, polite questions, follow-up questions, and natural expressions to keep a conversation flowing. If you haven't already, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing your favorite phrase from parts 1 and 2. Today, we're going to focus on sharing your opinions naturally, agreeing and disagreeing politely, and giving reasons in conversations. These skills are essential for sounding fluent and confident in English, especially in real-life situations like work, school, or social events. Let's start with a common question you might hear. What do you think about this idea? This is a great opportunity to share your opinion. A natural way to respond is, I think it's a good idea because, or I feel that it could work, but repeat after me. I think it's a good idea because I feel that it could work, but see how these phrases give your opinion clearly while leaving room for polite discussion? Now, let's practice a short conversation. A. We could start our project next week. What do you think about that? B. I think it's a good idea because it gives us enough time to prepare. A. That makes sense. I feel that we should also set small goals each day to stay on track. Notice how both speakers give opinions, explain their reasoning, and respond naturally. Practice saying this conversation aloud, focusing on natural pauses and emphasis on key words like good idea, enough time, and small goals. Next, let's practice politely disagreeing. In English, it's important to disagree without sounding rude. You can use phrases like, I see your point, but I think that's interesting, but I feel I understand, but maybe repeat after me. I see your point, but I think that's interesting, but I feel I understand, but maybe. Here's an example in a conversation. A. I think we should meet every day to finish the project quickly. B. I see your point, but I think 2 or 3 times a week is enough. It gives us time to focus on our tasks. A. That's a good idea. I didn't think about that. Notice how polite disagreement keeps the conversation friendly and professional. It allows both people to share their thoughts without conflict. Now, let's add more natural expressions to show understanding or agreement. Phrases like, "Exactly, I completely agree, that makes sense." Repeat after me. "Exactly, I completely agree. That makes sense." Use these expressions when you want to show the other person you're listening and understanding. For example, A. We should start our project earlier to avoid stress. B. Exactly. That way we won't feel rushed at the last minute. A. I completely agree. Planning ahead always helps. Next, we'll practice giving reasons for your opinions. This is essential in fluent English because it makes your speaking sound thoughtful and natural. You can use phrases like, "Because the reason is," "since." Repeat aloud. "Because the reason is," "since." Here's a short conversation to practice. A. I think online meetings are better than in-person meetings right now. B. Really? Why do you think that? A. Because it saves time and everyone can join from anywhere. The reason is that we don't have to travel, which makes it more efficient. B. That makes sense. I agree, since it also allows us to record the meetings for later. Notice how using "because," "the reason is," and "since" adds depth to your conversation. Practice repeating these sentences aloud, paying attention to the natural rhythm. Now, let's try combining opinion sharing, agreeing, and polite disagreement in one conversation. A. I feel we should focus on marketing first before developing the new product. B. I see your point, but I think development is more important right now, since we need a working product before promoting it. A. That's true. I completely agree. We should make sure the product is ready first. B. Exactly. Then we can plan the marketing strategy afterward. See how the conversation flows naturally? Both speakers share opinions, give reasons, agree, and politely disagree. Practicing this structure will help your English sound fluent in real situations. Now, here's your practice challenge for today. Try having a short conversation with a friend, classmate, or colleague where you share your opinion on a topic. Give a reason for your opinion. Agree or disagree politely using the phrases we practiced. Remember, speaking slowly and clearly is more important than speaking quickly. Focus on rhythm, pauses, and natural expressions. Finally, a tip for everyday practice. Whenever you read an article, watch a video, or listen to English, pause and ask yourself, what do I think about this? Then try expressing your opinion aloud using phrases like, I think, because, or I feel, since. This daily habit will make sharing opinions in English feel natural and easy. I'm so glad you're here for part 4 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass. By now, you've practiced greetings, keeping conversations flowing, sharing opinions, and agreeing or disagreeing politely. If you haven't yet, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling me which phrases you use most often. Today, we're going to focus on storytelling and describing experiences naturally. Being able to tell short stories or share personal experiences is an essential part of speaking fluent English. It helps you sound confident, friendly, and engaged in real-life conversations. Let's start with a simple way to introduce a story. Let me tell you about, or I remember a time when, repeat after me. Let me tell you about, I remember a time when. Here's an example. Let me tell you about a time when I got lost in a new city. Notice how this phrase immediately grabs attention and invites the listener to hear more. Now try saying it aloud. Let me tell you about a time when I got lost in a new city. Next, when describing experiences, it's natural to use past tense verbs and connect ideas with expressions like then, after that, so, and because. Repeat after me. Then, after that, so, because. Here's an example conversation. A. I remember a time when I got lost in a new city. B. Oh, really? What happened? A. I was walking to the hotel, and then I realized I didn't recognize anything. After that, I asked a local for directions, and because they were very helpful, I found the hotel quickly. Notice how the story has a clear sequence and natural connecting words. Practice saying this story aloud, focusing on then, after that, and because. Another way to make your stories more engaging is to describe feelings. Phrases like, I felt, it was, or I was, really help your listener connect with your experience. Repeat after me. I felt, it was, I was really. Example. I felt nervous when I realized I was lost. It was my first time visiting this city, and I was really worried at first. But then, after asking for directions, I felt relieved and happy. Practice saying this aloud, paying attention to the natural rhythm and emotions in your voice. Now let's combine storytelling with sharing opinions, which we practiced in part 3. You can say, in my opinion, or I think that, after telling a story to give your thoughts about it. For example, I remember a time when I got lost in a new city. I felt nervous at first, but after asking for directions, I found the hotel quickly. In my opinion, asking locals for help is always the best way to solve problems when you're in a new place. Repeat this whole sentence aloud to practice connecting storytelling with opinion sharing. Next, we'll practice asking questions about someone else's experience. This helps conversations stay interactive. You can use phrases like, what happened next? How did you feel? Have you ever experienced something like that? Repeat after me. What happened next? How did you feel? Have you ever experienced something like that? Example conversation. A. I remember a time when I got lost in a new city. B. Oh no, what happened next? A. I asked a local for directions and they were very helpful. B. That's great. How did you feel afterward? A. I felt relieved and happy. Have you ever experienced something like that? Notice how asking questions keeps the conversation flowing and makes it more natural. Practice this dialogue aloud, focusing on tone and pauses. Another important tip for storytelling is using descriptive words. Words like amazing, scary, exciting, funny, or surprising add color to your story and make it more memorable. Example: I had an amazing experience last weekend. I visited a small village and saw a traditional festival. It was exciting to watch the dances, and I met some funny locals who shared their stories with me. Try saying this aloud, emphasizing amazing, exciting, and funny to make your story sound lively. Now, let's practice a full mini story combining everything we've learned. A. Let me tell you about a time when I tried cooking a new recipe. B. Really? What happened? A. I was really nervous at first because I had never cooked this dish before. Then I realized I didn't have all the ingredients, so I had to improvise. After that, I followed the steps carefully, and it turned out amazing. In my opinion, trying new things is always worth it. B. That sounds exciting. Have you ever had a cooking disaster before? A. Yes. Once I burned a cake, but it was funny in the end. See how this conversation flows naturally, with storytelling, emotions, connecting words, opinions, and questions? Practicing dialogues like this will help your English sound fluent and natural. Your practice challenge for today: choose one personal experience from your life, like a trip, a funny moment, or a learning experience. Try to tell your story aloud using, "Let me tell you about," or "I remember a time when." Past tense verbs and connecting words like then, after that, so, and because. Descriptive words and expressions of feeling. Opinion phrases like "in my opinion" or "I think that." Asking follow-up questions if someone responds. Remember, the key is speaking slowly, clearly, and naturally. Don't worry about making mistakes. The more you practice, the more fluent and confident you will become. In Part 5, we'll continue building real-life conversation skills by practicing how to explain processes, give instructions, and describe sequences naturally so your English sounds professional and smooth in any situation. I'm so glad you're here for Part 5 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass. By now, you've practiced greetings, sharing opinions, telling short stories, and describing experiences naturally. If you haven't already, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below telling me about one story you've shared in English recently. I love reading your experiences, and it helps everyone learn together. Today, we're going to focus on explaining processes, giving instructions, and describing sequences naturally. This skill is essential for real-life English, whether you're at work, school, or even helping a friend. Being able to explain how to do something makes your English sound confident, clear, and professional. Let's start with some simple phrases for giving instructions. First, next, then, and finally, repeat after me. First, next, then. Finally, here's an example. First, you need to boil water. Next, add the pasta. Then, cook it for 10 minutes. Finally, drain the water and serve. Notice how these words help your listener follow your instructions easily. Now, try saying it aloud just like I did. First, you need to boil water. Next, add the pasta. Then, cook it for 10 minutes. Finally, drain the water and serve. Another way to give instructions naturally is using polite suggestions or recommendations. Phrases like, you should, it's a good idea to, and I recommend, make your English sound friendly and helpful. Repeat after me. You should. It's a good idea to, I recommend. Example. You should read the instructions carefully before starting. It's a good idea to practice a little every day. I recommend using fresh ingredients for the best taste. Practice saying these sentences aloud and notice how polite expressions make your English sound natural. Next, let's combine instructions with explaining reasons. Using phrases like because, so that, and in order to helps your explanation sound complete and professional. Repeat after me. Because, so that, in order to. Example. Boil the water first because it cooks the pasta faster. Add the ingredients slowly so that the sauce doesn't burn. Follow the steps carefully in order to get the best result. Try repeating these sentences aloud, focusing on connecting words that explain reasons. Now, we'll practice a full mini conversation that combines instructions, polite suggestions, and explanations. A. I want to bake a cake, but I've never done it before. B. No problem. First, preheat the oven to 180 degrees. Next, mix the flour, sugar, and eggs. Then, pour the mixture into a baking tray. Finally, bake it for 25 minutes. A. Should I do anything special to make it rise well? B. Yes, it's a good idea to add a teaspoon of baking powder so that the cake rises perfectly. I recommend checking it after 20 minutes to make sure it doesn't burn. Notice how this conversation flows naturally, and each instruction is clear and easy to follow. Practice saying this dialogue aloud, paying attention to tone and pauses. Another useful skill is describing steps in your own routine or work process. For example, when talking about your morning routine, first, I wake up at 6 a.m. Next, I brush my teeth and wash my face. Then, I have breakfast and drink a cup of coffee. Finally, I get ready and leave for work. Try creating your own routine explanation and saying it aloud. Use first, next, then, and finally to connect your ideas. Now let's practice a scenario where you give instructions to a friend. Imagine helping someone set up a new phone. A. I just bought a new phone, but I don't know how to set it up. B. First, turn on the phone by holding the power button. Next, choose your language. Then, connect to Wi-Fi. After that, sign in with your email account. Finally, download the apps you need. You can also add polite suggestions. You should also back up your old data so that you don't lose anything. It's a good idea to update the software right away in order to avoid problems later. Try saying this aloud. The more you practice giving instructions, the more confident you'll feel in real conversations. Here's a small practice challenge for today. Choose one process from your daily life. It can be making breakfast, preparing a cup of tea, or setting up your laptop. Explain it aloud using sequence, words, first, next, then, finally. Polite suggestions, you should. It's a good idea to, I recommend, connecting reasons, because, so that, in order to. Remember, don't worry if you make mistakes. Speak slowly, clearly, and naturally. Repeating your instructions aloud will help your fluency, pronunciation, and confidence. In Part 6, we'll continue building advanced conversation skills by practicing how to compare and contrast ideas, talk about pros and cons, and give advice naturally. This will help you sound more fluent and professional in discussions, debates, and everyday conversations. I'm so happy you're here for Part 6 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass. If you've been following along, by now you've practiced greetings, sharing stories, giving instructions, and explaining processes naturally. Before we start today's lesson, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below sharing one process you've explained in English this week. I love seeing your progress, and your experience can inspire others too. Today, we're going to focus on comparing ideas, talking about pros and cons, and giving advice in a natural and fluent way. These skills are essential when discussing options, making decisions, or having friendly debates. Being able to compare, give your opinion, and advise confidently makes your English sound professional and authentic. Let's start with some simple phrases for comparing. On one hand, on the other hand, compared to, while, and whereas. Repeat after me. On one hand, on the other hand, compared to, while, whereas. Here's an example. On one hand, working from home is convenient. On the other hand, it can be lonely. Compared to living in the city, living in the countryside is quieter and slower. While online classes are flexible, face-to-face classes offer more interaction. Try saying these examples aloud. Notice how using comparison words helps your ideas flow clearly and naturally. Next, let's practice talking about pros and cons. Useful phrases include, one advantage is, a disadvantage is, the good thing is, the bad thing is. Repeat after me. One advantage is, a disadvantage is, the good thing is, the bad thing is. Example. One advantage of learning English online is flexibility. A disadvantage is that it can be distracting. The good thing about cooking at home is saving money. The bad thing is it takes more time. Practice saying these aloud, focusing on rhythm and tone so it sounds natural. Now let's combine comparisons with pros and cons in a conversation. A. I'm thinking about buying a new laptop. Should I get a Mac or a Windows laptop? B. Well, on one hand, Mac computers are very stable and easy to use. On the other hand, Windows laptops are usually more affordable and have more software options. One advantage of Mac is the design and security, but a disadvantage is the price. You should consider what matters most to you. Notice how this conversation flows naturally and shows clear reasoning. Practice repeating it aloud, imagining you are explaining it to a friend. Another useful skill is giving advice politely. Phrases like, I suggest, you might want to, it would be a good idea to, and if I were you, I would make your English sound caring and professional. Repeat after me. I suggest, you might want to, it would be a good idea to, if I were you, I would. Example, I suggest practicing a little every day if you want to improve your speaking. You might want to review your notes before the meeting. It would be a good idea to check the weather before traveling. If I were you, I would ask for help instead of struggling alone. Try saying these aloud. The more you use polite advice phrases, the more natural your English will sound. Now, let's practice a full conversation that combines comparisons, pros and cons, and advice. A. I'm not sure whether to take the bus or ride my bike to work. B. Well, on one hand, the bus is faster and more comfortable. On the other hand, riding your bike is healthy and good exercise. One advantage of taking the bus is you can rest on the way, but a disadvantage is it may be crowded. If I were you, I would ride the bike on nice days and take the bus when it's raining. Practice this dialogue aloud, focusing on natural pauses and tone. Notice how giving both pros and cons, followed by advice, makes your English sound complete and confident. Here's a mini challenge for today. Choose one situation from your daily life, like deciding what to eat, where to travel, or which activity to do on the weekend. Explain it using comparison words, on one hand, on the other hand, compared to while, whereas. Pros and cons. One advantage is, a disadvantage is, the good thing is, the bad thing is. Polite advice. I suggest, you might want to, it would be a good idea to, if I were you, I would. Speak slowly and naturally. Don't worry about mistakes. Repeating these expressions aloud will improve both your fluency and confidence in real-life conversations. In Part 7, we will continue building advanced conversation skills by learning how to give opinions and explain your thoughts clearly, even in challenging or unfamiliar topics. This will help you sound more fluent and prepared for any discussion. I'm excited to continue with Part 7 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass. If you've been practicing the expressions from Parts 1 through 6, you're already becoming more confident in greetings, storytelling, explaining processes, and giving advice. Before we begin today, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below sharing one piece of advice you gave in English recently. Your comment could inspire others and help build our learning community. In today's lesson, we'll focus on expressing opinions clearly, giving reasons, and agreeing or disagreeing politely. These skills are essential for fluent conversations, especially when you want to sound confident in discussions, meetings, or casual chats with friends. When you share opinions naturally, your English will sound much more professional and fluent. Let's start with some key phrases for giving your opinion. I think, in my opinion, I believe, from my perspective, and as far as I'm concerned, repeat after me. I think, in my opinion, I believe, from my perspective, as far as I'm concerned. Here's an example of expressing an opinion. I think learning English every day is the best way to improve fluency. In my opinion, practicing speaking is more important than just reading textbooks. From my perspective, joining an English-speaking group helps build confidence. Practice saying these examples aloud, focusing on a natural rhythm and friendly tone. Next, let's learn how to give reasons to support your opinion. Useful phrases include because, since, as, and due to. Repeat after me. Because, since, as, due to. Example: I think online classes are convenient because you can study from home. In my opinion, reading books improves vocabulary since you see words in context. From my perspective, listening to podcasts is effective as it helps with pronunciation. Combine opinions with reasons to make your English more convincing and fluent. Now, let's practice a short conversation. A. Do you prefer studying alone or in a group? B. I prefer studying in a group because it helps me stay motivated and share ideas. A. I see. I think studying alone can be better since you can focus more without distractions. Notice how both speakers give opinions and reasons naturally. Practice repeating this conversation aloud, imagining you are discussing it with a friend. Another important skill is agreeing and disagreeing politely. Common phrases include, I agree with you. That's true. I see your point, but I'm not sure I agree. I understand. However, repeat after me. I agree with you. That's true. I see your point, but I'm not sure I agree. I understand. However, example conversation. A. I think working from home is more productive. B. I see your point, but I'm not sure I agree. Sometimes it's harder to focus at home. A. That's true. It depends on the person and their work environment. Practice saying this aloud. Notice how using polite agreement or disagreement makes your English sound respectful and fluent. Now, let's put it all together in a longer dialogue that combines opinions, reasons, and polite agreement-disagreement. A. In my opinion, traveling abroad is the best way to learn a language. B. I agree with you. Traveling gives real-life experience and helps you practice speaking daily. A. Exactly. Also, you can learn cultural context, which is important. B. I understand, however, I think online language exchanges are a good alternative for people who can't travel. A. That's true. Technology makes learning much more accessible now. Practice repeating this dialogue, focusing on intonation, natural pauses, and emotion. Notice how each person expresses opinions, gives reasons, and agrees or disagrees politely. Here's a mini challenge for today. Choose one topic you feel strongly about, like your favorite food, the best way to study, or your opinion on exercise, and explain your opinion aloud. Remember to use phrases like, I think, in my opinion, or from my perspective. Give reasons using because, since, as, or due to. Practice polite agreement or disagreement with yourself, or imagine a friend responding. Speaking aloud will help you internalize these phrases and make your English sound natural and fluent. In Part 8, we will focus on advanced storytelling and describing experiences vividly. You'll learn how to make your stories more interesting, fluent, and easy to follow, so people will want to listen to every word you say. Keep practicing your opinions, reasons, and polite agreements every day. Speak aloud. Imagine real conversations, and don't worry about mistakes. Confidence comes from practice, and every time you use these expressions, your English becomes stronger. You've been doing an amazing job practicing opinions, giving reasons, and agreeing or disagreeing politely. In Part 8 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass, we're going to take your English to the next level by focusing on advanced storytelling and describing experiences vividly. This is a key skill if you want your conversations to feel natural, engaging, and memorable. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below sharing one experience you recently described in English. Sharing your story can inspire others and give you extra practice thinking in English. Storytelling in English is more than just telling events in order. To sound fluent and interesting, you need to focus on structure, details, emotions, and expressions. Here's a simple framework. First, set the scene. Second, describe the actions. Third, explain your feelings. And finally, share the outcome or lesson. Let's start with setting the scene. Common phrases include last weekend, a few months ago, when I was a child, recently, and the other day. Repeat after me. Last weekend, a few months ago, when I was a child, recently, the other day. Example: last weekend, I visited a beautiful park in my city. A few months ago, I tried a new restaurant with my friends. When I was a child, I loved playing outside with my neighbors. Setting the scene gives your listener context and makes your story easier to follow. Practice saying these examples aloud with natural pauses. Next, describe the actions. Useful phrases include I decided to, I started, I noticed, I couldn't believe, and I ended up. Repeat after me. I decided to, I started, I noticed, I couldn't believe, I ended up. Example: I decided to take a walk along the river. I started talking to a friendly local who shared interesting stories. I noticed the sunset was absolutely beautiful. I couldn't believe how peaceful everything felt. I ended up spending 3 hours exploring the area. Adding details and actions makes your story vivid and engaging. Try repeating these sentences aloud, imagining the scene as you speak. Now, let's include feelings and emotions. Phrases like, I felt, it was exciting because I was surprised when I was a little nervous and I couldn't stop smiling are very useful. Repeat after me. I felt. It was exciting because I was surprised when I was a little nervous. I couldn't stop smiling. Example. I felt so happy when I met new friends at the park. It was exciting because I discovered a hidden cafe I never knew existed. I was surprised when they invited me to join their game. I was a little nervous speaking English with strangers, but I tried my best. I couldn't stop smiling after such a fun day. Expressing emotions helps your listener connect with your story. Practice saying these sentences aloud with feeling, as if you are telling a real friend. Finally, share the outcome or lesson of your story. Phrases include, in the end, I learned that, it taught me, now I know, and I will definitely. Repeat after me. In the end, I learned that, it taught me, now I know, I will definitely. Example. In the end, I had a wonderful day full of surprises. I learned that talking to strangers can lead to new friendships. It taught me to explore new places more often. Now I know that small adventures can make life exciting. I will definitely visit the park again next month. Now, let's put it all together in one short story. Last weekend, I visited a beautiful park in my city. I decided to take a walk along the river. I noticed the flowers were blooming everywhere, and the sunset was absolutely stunning. I felt so happy exploring the area. I couldn't stop smiling as I met friendly people and discovered a small cafe. In the end, I had a wonderful day, and I learned that even familiar places can feel exciting if you explore them with curiosity. Practice telling this story aloud, using your natural rhythm and intonation. Try to imagine the scene and emotions as you speak. Here's a speaking challenge for you. Think of a small experience from your week, like going to a market, meeting a friend, or trying a new food. Use the framework. Set the scene, describe actions, share feelings, and explain the outcome or lesson. Speak aloud and try to make it sound natural and engaging. In Part 9, we'll focus on advanced question and answer techniques for conversations, so you'll learn how to keep a dialogue flowing naturally, respond to questions confidently, and make your English sound more fluent and professional. You've done a fantastic job practicing storytelling in Part 8. Now, in Part 9 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass, we're going to focus on advanced question and answer techniques. This is one of the most important skills for fluent English because real conversations are not just about talking, they're about listening, responding naturally, and keeping the dialogue flowing. Before we start, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing one interesting conversation you had in English this week. I'd love to hear how you're applying what you've learned so far. Let's begin with the basics of asking questions in a natural way. There are two main types of questions: open-ended and closed-ended. Closed-ended questions usually have short answers, like yes or no. Open-ended questions encourage longer, more detailed responses. For example, instead of asking, "Did you like the movie?" which is closed-ended, you can ask, "What did you think of the movie?" Or, "Which part of the movie did you enjoy the most?" These are open-ended and invite your conversation partner to give more than one-word answers. Repeat after me. What did you think of the movie? Which part of the movie did you enjoy the most? Now, let's practice using open-ended questions in daily conversations. Here are some common starters. How was your day? What did you do today? Have you ever? Why do you think? Can you tell me about? Repeat after me. How was your day? What did you do today? Have you ever? Why do you think? Can you tell me about? Example conversation. A. How was your day? B. It was great. I went to the park and saw some amazing art exhibits. A. That sounds exciting. Can you tell me more about the exhibits? B. Sure. There was a photography section and a small sculpture display. I especially loved the sculpture of the bird. Notice how the second question encourages B to give more details. This keeps the conversation flowing naturally. Practice repeating this dialogue aloud with the right intonation. Another important skill is responding to questions naturally. Instead of just saying yes or no, try to expand your answer. Use phrases like, "Yes, I did," and "No, but actually I think, I'm not sure, but," or "That's an interesting question. I think," repeat after me. "Yes, I did," and "No, but actually I think, I'm not sure, but that's an interesting question. I think." Example. Question. Did you like the new cafe? Answer. Yes, I did. And the coffee was amazing. I also loved the cozy atmosphere. Question. Do you enjoy reading books? Answer. Actually, I think reading is one of the best ways to relax and learn at the same time. By expanding your answers, you show interest and make your English sound fluent and natural. Try repeating these examples aloud and adding your own ideas. We can also use follow-up questions to make conversations more engaging. These are questions that connect to what your partner just said. Phrases include, "Really? What happened next? That sounds interesting. How did that feel? I see. Why do you think that happened?" Repeat after me. Really? What happened next? That sounds interesting. How did that feel? I see. Why do you think that happened? Example. A. I tried a new cooking class yesterday. B. Really? What happened next? A. I learned to make homemade pasta, and it was harder than I expected. B. That sounds interesting. How did that feel? A. I was a little nervous at first, but then it became really fun. Follow-up questions show that you're actively listening, which is a key part of fluency. Practice creating your own follow-up questions for experiences you or your friends have shared. Another technique is using phrases to buy time while thinking. In real conversations, you don't need to answer immediately. Use phrases like, "Let me think. That's a good question. I'm not sure, but I need a moment to think about it. Repeat after me. Let me think. That's a good question. I'm not sure, but I need a moment to think about it." Example. Question. What's your favorite type of music? Answer. I'm not sure, but I think I enjoy jazz the most because it's relaxing and inspiring. Using these phrases makes your English sound more natural and confident. It's okay to take a moment to organize your thoughts before answering. Finally, let's combine all these techniques into a mini conversation practice. Try repeating aloud with me. A. Have you ever traveled to another country? B. Yes, I did, and I went to Japan last year. It was an amazing experience. A. That sounds exciting. What did you enjoy the most? B. I really loved exploring the temples and trying traditional Japanese food. It was so different from home. A. Wow, I see. How did it feel to experience a completely new culture? B. I was a little nervous at first, but it became really fun and memorable. Notice how questions, expanded answers, follow-ups, and emotion expressions all make the conversation more engaging. Practice speaking this dialogue aloud several times and try changing the details to match your own experiences. For your speaking challenge today, think of a recent experience or story and ask yourself 3 open-ended questions about it. Then answer each question naturally, expand your answer, and add follow-up thoughts. Speak aloud, imagining a real conversation with a friend. In Part 10, we'll focus on combining storytelling, questions, and advanced expressions to simulate real-life long conversations. You'll practice linking all the skills from storytelling, expanding answers, and asking natural questions to sound fluent and confident in English. Keep practicing questions, answers, and follow-ups every day. Speak aloud, imagine real situations, and notice how much more natural your English can sound. I'll see you in Part 10 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass. Keep speaking, keep listening, and remember, every question you ask and answer is a step toward true fluency. You've been doing an amazing job practicing questions, answers, and follow-ups in Part 9. In Part 10 of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass, we are going to bring everything together. Today, we'll focus on creating longer, real-life conversations by combining storytelling, natural expressions, and advanced phrases. This is where your English starts to feel truly fluent and natural. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing which conversation technique has helped you the most so far. I love reading your experiences and tips, and your comments help others learn too. Let's start by looking at how a full conversation flows naturally. Real-life conversations often move like this. One person tells a story or shares an experience. The listener asks questions. The speaker expands, and both exchange thoughts and feelings. The key is to make your English sound connected, not like separate sentences. Here's an example scenario. Imagine you're talking to a friend about a recent weekend trip. I'll show you how it can flow naturally. Repeat aloud after me to practice fluency. A. Hey, how was your weekend? B. It was great. I went hiking in the mountains. The view from the top was amazing. A. Wow, that sounds incredible. What trail did you take? B. I took the Pine Valley Trail. It was challenging at first, but the scenery made it all worth it. I especially loved the waterfall near the top. A. That sounds beautiful. How did it feel to reach the top? B. Honestly, I was tired, but also really proud. Standing there and seeing everything below me felt like an accomplishment. A. I can imagine. Did you take any pictures? B. Yes, lots. I even tried to capture the sunrise. It was so peaceful. Have you ever been hiking there? A. Not yet, but I've always wanted to. Your story makes me want to go this weekend. Notice how the conversation flows naturally. The questions are open-ended, the answers are expanded, follow-ups are used, and personal feelings are expressed. All these elements make English sound fluent and natural. Repeat this dialogue aloud several times and try changing the details to fit your own experiences. Now, let's practice adding advanced phrases to make your English sound more professional and confident. Phrases like, I couldn't believe it when, it really made me feel, I was surprised by. What amazed me most was, I've never experienced anything like it before. Repeat after me. I couldn't believe it when. It really made me feel. I was surprised by. What amazed me most was, I've never experienced anything like it before. Example. B. I couldn't believe it when I saw the waterfall. It really made me feel peaceful and happy. I was surprised by how quiet it was, even though it was a popular trail. What amazed me most was the rainbow that appeared in the mist. I've never experienced anything like it before. Using phrases like these helps you sound expressive and natural, not just literal. Try inserting one or two of these phrases into your own storytelling practice today. Next, let's focus on combining storytelling with questions. You can guide a conversation while keeping it interactive. For example, last weekend, I went to a cooking class and learned how to make Italian pasta from scratch. A. That sounds delicious. How did it go? B. It was a bit tricky at first. Rolling the dough took longer than I expected, but once I got the hang of it, it was fun. Have you ever tried making pasta at home? A. Yes, once, but it was messy. Did you make any sauces too? B. Yes, we made a fresh tomato basil sauce. I was surprised how simple it was, yet so tasty. I've never experienced anything like it before. Notice how questions and storytelling are interwoven. This keeps the conversation dynamic, natural, and engaging. Practice speaking this aloud and make sure to add your own feelings, surprises, or interesting observations. Another tip is to use short comments while listening. These are small, natural responses that keep conversations alive, such as, "Wow, really? That's amazing. No way. I see, that's interesting." Repeat after me, "Wow, really? That's amazing. No way. I see, that's interesting." Example conversation. B. I finally finished reading that long novel I started last month. A. Wow, really? How did you like it? B. It was incredible. The story kept me on edge the whole time. I couldn't put it down. A. That's amazing. Which part did you enjoy the most? These short comments show that you're listening and actively engaged, which makes your English sound natural and conversational. Practice adding 1 or 2 comments while someone else is telling a story, even if it's just a practice dialogue by yourself. Now, for your fluency challenge today, take a real-life experience, like a trip, a meal, or a project you worked on, and practice telling the story aloud. Use open-ended questions, follow-up questions, advanced phrases, and short comments. Speak slowly at first, then gradually make it smoother and more connected. The goal is not just accuracy, but natural flow and confidence. By practicing storytelling combined with interactive questions and advanced expressions, you are training your brain to think in English and respond naturally. This is what fluency really feels like. In Part 11, our final part, we'll focus on reviewing all the techniques we've learned throughout this masterclass. We'll combine storytelling, question and answer practice, follow-ups, advanced expressions, and interactive comments into a full, smooth conversation. You'll have a chance to speak aloud, repeat phrases, and simulate real-life English fluency with confidence. Keep practicing every day. Speak aloud, imagine real conversations, and don't worry about mistakes. Every time you practice, you get closer to speaking English naturally and confidently. I'll see you in Part 11, where we'll bring everything together into one complete flowing conversation. Keep listening, keep speaking, and remember, fluency is built one conversation at a time. The final part of our Fluent English Conversations Masterclass. First, congratulations on making it this far. You've practiced questions, follow-ups, storytelling, advanced expressions, and interactive comments. Today, we're going to bring everything together in a full, natural conversation so you can see how all these techniques flow seamlessly in real life. Before we start, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Ms. Phuong English, and leave a comment sharing which technique or expression has helped you the most during this masterclass. Your feedback inspires me and helps other learners too. Let's imagine a full scenario where 2 friends are catching up after a busy week. This conversation will include storytelling, questions, follow-ups, advanced phrases, and short responses that keep it natural. I'll guide you through it step by step, and you can repeat aloud to practice fluency. A. Hey, it's so good to see you. How's everything been? B. Hi, I'm glad to see you too. It's been a busy week, but I finally had a chance to try that new cafe downtown. The atmosphere was amazing, and the coffee was even better than I expected. A. Wow, really? What did you order? B. I tried their special cappuccino and a blueberry muffin. I couldn't believe how fresh everything tasted. I've never had coffee quite like that before. A. That sounds delicious. Was it crowded? B. Not too much, which was nice. I was surprised by how quiet it was, even though it's a popular spot. It really made me feel relaxed. A. I see. That's interesting. Did you take any pictures? B. Yes, I took a few. I wanted to capture the little decorations on the tables and the sunlight coming through the windows. What amazed me most was the way the light made everything look so cozy. A. That does sound lovely. I've been meaning to check that place out. Did you go alone or with someone? B. I went with my friend. We spent a couple of hours talking and planning our weekend trip. I couldn't believe how fast time went by. Have you made any plans for the weekend? A. Not yet, but your story makes me want to get out and explore. Maybe I'll visit that cafe too. Do you think it's easy to get a table? B. Yes, if you go early. It's better to go in the morning. By the way, we also walked through the park nearby. The flowers are in full bloom, and the air smelled so fresh. I've never seen the park look so beautiful. A. I can imagine. Did you take a walk around the lake? B. Yes, we did. It was peaceful and calming. I was surprised by how many birds were there. We even saw a family of ducks swimming together. A. That's amazing. Did you take any videos? B. Yes, I did. I wanted to remember the moment. Standing there watching the ducks, I felt really grateful for the simple joys of life. A. I love that. It's those little things that make life special. I need to take a walk this weekend too. Notice how naturally the conversation flows. Each line connects to the previous one. Storytelling, questions, and follow-ups are mixed with short, natural responses and advanced expressions like, I couldn't believe, I was surprised by. And what amazed me most was, repeat this conversation aloud several times, and then try replacing the details with your own experiences. Now let's add a few more advanced phrases for variety. It really made me appreciate, I couldn't stop thinking about, I was completely amazed by. It reminded me of, try saying these aloud. It really made me appreciate, I couldn't stop thinking about, I was completely amazed by. It reminded me of example practice. B. Walking through the park really made me appreciate the beauty of nature. I couldn't stop thinking about how lucky we are to have such places nearby. I was completely amazed by the colors of the flowers, and it reminded me of the park I visited as a child. Adding these phrases will help your English sound more natural, expressive, and engaging. Finally, let's practice combining everything into a short monologue, as if you're telling a friend about your day. Include storytelling, follow-up ideas, advanced expressions, and natural comment. Speak slowly at first, then make it smoother. For example, today I went to a new cafe downtown. The atmosphere was amazing, and the coffee was even better than I expected. I couldn't believe how fresh everything tasted. I took a few pictures of the sunlight and decorations. Afterward, I walked through the park nearby. The flowers were in full bloom, and the air smelled so fresh. I was completely amazed by how peaceful everything felt. I even saw a family of ducks swimming together, which made me smile. It really made me appreciate the simple joys of life. I couldn't stop thinking about how lucky we are to have such beautiful places close to home. Repeat this monologue aloud several times. Then try creating your own version using your experiences. Focus on connecting sentences naturally, using follow-up ideas, and expressing your feelings with advanced phrases. Remember, fluency is about making English flow naturally in conversation. It's not just about grammar or vocabulary, it's about rhythm, connection, and expression. By practicing storytelling, asking and answering questions, adding follow-ups, and using expressive phrases, your English will become more confident and natural every day. Congratulations! You've completed the Fluent English Conversations Masterclass. Keep practicing every day, speak aloud, listen actively, and immerse yourself in real-life conversations whenever possible. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Ms. Phuong English, and leave a comment sharing your favorite conversation technique from this series. I'd love to hear which phrases or exercises helped you the most. Keep practicing, and remember, every conversation is an opportunity to improve, gain confidence, and speak English naturally. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue building your fluency with more advanced listening and speaking exercises. Keep speaking, keep listening, and most importantly, enjoy every step of your English journey.